is mightier. Now, these are the highlights. The Court of Appeal sets BBI hearing date for 29th of June this year. Medical practitioners raise concerns over the large turnout from yesterday's Madaraka Day celebrations. And Equity Bank receives 22 accolades in the 2021 Banking Awards by Think Business. All right, welcome to the broadcast. You can talk to us via SMS line that is on 111 444 111. That is on 111 444 111. We start at the Court of Appeal, where the Building Bridges Initiative case will be heard by a 7-judge bench for 4 days starting from June 29th to July 2nd. Court of Appeal President Daniel Musinga has also said the BBI hearing will be held in an open court at a venue to be arranged in compliance with COVID-19 protocols. Caroline Suma opens the bulletin for us with that story.
A 3-appellate bench led by newly appointed President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Daniel Musinga, Justice Roslyn Nambuye and Justice Hannah Okwengu have determined the viability of the BBI appeal during the case management conference held earlier today. The bench has stated that the hearing will commence before the end of the month with a 7-judge bench, 2 more from the 5 judges who nullified the BBI process at the High Court.
The appeal shall be heard on 29th and 30th of June 2021. And lastly, the hearing shall be in open court at a venue to be arranged in compliance with the COVID-19 protocols.
The bench has also given orders to the IEBC, allowing them to continue discharging their functions, but has been ordered not to start the process of preparing for a referendum.
If the court were to allow some kind of interim orders with respect to IEBC, but preserving the sanctity of the proceedings so that IEBC does not touch on anything to do with the matters in controversy, but it can continue to function insofar as the arrangements for the pending by-elections are concerned.
Among other orders that were given today include all intended appealates who have filed notices of appeal shall be at liberty to file supplementary records of appeal and or memorandum of appeal as may be appropriate within 7 days from the date hereof. The appellant shall be at liberty to file replies within 3 days of the respondent's submissions, that the respective submissions shall be limited to 40 pages. The appellants shall be at liberty to make a reply to the respondent's submission limited to 30 minutes. Lawyers who represented President Uhuru Kenyatta are Gatonye Waweru and Mohamed Nyaoga, while James Orengo represented ODM leader Raila Odinga and the BBI Secretariat. Eric Gumbo and Githu Muigai appeared before the IEBC. The 3 who appealed the High Court ruling yesterday, Nelson Havi is representing the Linda Katiba movement and Elias Mutuma representing the Third Way Alliance, who were petitioners in the High Court but are now respondent in the BBI appeal case. A week after the Linda Katiba movement requested the President of the Court of Appeal to constitute a 7-member judge bench, the case is now ready to take off amidst concerns Kenya will not be having a referendum before August as required by the Constitution. Caroline Suma, Switch TV.
Thank you, Tuma. Now, former Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri and the Service Party leader has urged the government to forego the BBI debate and referendum talks and focus on development. Speaking at the party's headquarters in Nairobi, Kiunjuri has warned those propagating divisions in Mount Kenya, saying one can only be a region's spokesperson if they have the numbers. Namkana Samuel reports.
With the Court of Appeal setting the precedence on the hearing of the BBI appeal case, the Service Party led by former Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri has urged the government not to push the BBI debate any further, as this will force the country to go into a referendum, causing unnecessary expenditure.
With the general elections coming in under 14 months, we agree with the Catholic bishops that the next big thing that the country should focus on is the general election. There is a lot of preparatory work that needs to be done to ensure this transition election is well administered and delivered to be free, fair, and credible.
This comes just one day after the president sharply criticized the judiciary of being the stumbling block on the BBI agenda.
This roadmap will should assure Kenyans that nobody is sitting somewhere planning extension of the term of this administration for parliament, governors, or MCAs for even a minute. The 2022 general elections should and must be held in accordance with the current constitution.
Kiunjuri, who has been missing in action since he was demoted as the Agriculture CS in 2020, has downplayed the divisions in Mount Kenya over Speaker Muturi's coronation, claiming a kingpin of a region is determined by the numbers he can rally and not just a coronation ceremony by elders.
What we are saying, let us respect those who assess, let us respect Justin Muturi. He is in order. And I have said, I'll also be seeking anointment from God. And I'll call religious leaders, bishops, and we have bishops who are afraid. They will come and announce that you are the chosen one.
The contentious BBI bill and Speaker Muturi's coronation has sparked mixed reactions from the Mount Kenya region, sending spasms of division. The division and the rift in Mount Kenya is getting wider and wider, the east separating from the west. Namukana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Samuel. Now, the Court of Appeal has criticized President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech against the independence and workship of the judiciary. Following the High Court's ruling on the Building Bridges initiative, the court now wants all leaders to obey the independence of the judiciary and its decisions and shun defending themselves out of court. Robert Oma with the details.
The Court of Appeal has today criticized President Uhuru Kenyatta's Madaraka Day speech, saying that the head of state's sentiment was straight contempt of court, wanting the office of the president to think on issuing an apology.
Let us not begin to, as it were, prosecute or defend our respective positions outside there in the media.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his speech on Madaraka Day yesterday, continued his attack on the judiciary wing of the government for its ruling on the BBI at the High Court of Kenya 3 weeks ago.
As I said of the judiciary, their decisions must consider the letter of the law, but fundamentally, the spirit of the law must also guide them. I say so with all humility because the spirit of the law is the light that will illuminate the burden of the choices that they make. For every decision they make, the spirit of the law will lead them to the consequences of their choices. The judiciary should be guided by the spirit of the law.
In his reaffirmation, President Uhuru Kenyatta defended the BBI document, at the same time trashing the judiciary for bending the future of the country with his decision on BBI.
This congregation here today is also a celebration of the handshake, a new political normal that not only embraces competition, but also encourages reconciliation and the healing of wounds, irregardless of how fierce the competition was.
The appellate court has said that the head of state's personal opinion on the judiciary would undermine the public confidence on the judiciary to deal with all matters before it, asking leaders to allow the court make its fair decisions without unnecessary comments.
Please allow the court to make a fair, properly informed decision without unnecessary attacks, comments by all concerned.
The president's speech has however sparked mixed reactions among Kenyans on his state of leadership.
Kesi ambayo iko kotini haifai kusungumuziwa kwa kiwanja ama mahali popote pale, na tuliona rais akikusia hiyo mambo akilaumu mahakama hiyo na kashifu.
Lakini huu umoja umefichwa huko chini ya maji. Alete open hii kitu, alete open. Hata sisi tunaweza taka huo umoja ukuje mpaka kwa wananchi.
All eyes will now shift to President Uhuru Kenyatta on whether he will obey any court ruling on BBI and whether it will be obeyed. Robert Ouma, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has petitioned President Uhuru Kenyatta to revive key stalled projects in western part of the country. In the spirit of the handshake, Oparanya has said leaders from the region had identified development projects in 5 counties that required either revival or setting up, adding that the president should expedite the process. He has urged that residents were in support of the handshake and they should reap the fruit like their neighbors in Nyanza region. The governor has urged that COVID-19 had affected the economy of the country, thus slowing down development plans.
Vile mjuavyo, sisi, mimi aswa na Eugene Wamalwa na magavanasi wote kutoka sehemu za magharibi tumekutana na rais na tukakubaliana tunataka tuwe na projekti fulani katika mkoa wa magharibi, lakini kwa sababu ya corona hizo projects zimeanza, lakini kwa sababu ya corona tujakuwa na nafasi ya kusundua hizi projects. Kwanza tumepewa barabara kadhaa, yale barabara ambayo ilikuwa inaendelea lakini ikawa na tashishi ya pesa ikasimama, hizo barabara sasa zinaanza.
From Kakamega, we take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more in a short while. All right, welcome back. The CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccine developed by Chinese pharmaceuticals company Sinovac has been proven to be safe and effective. This is according to the Director General of World Health Organization, WHO, Tedros Adhanom, who has now announced that the vaccine has been validated for emergency use by WHO.
I'm happy to announce that the Sinovac CoronaVac vaccine has been given WHO emergency use listing after being found to be safe, effective, and quality assured following 2 doses of the inactivated vaccine. Furthermore, the easy storage requirements of CoronaVac make it very suitable for low-resource settings. It's now the 8th vaccine to receive EUL by WHO. It's now crucial to get these life-saving tools to the people that need them quickly. In countries where vaccination coverage is better, meaning in high-income countries where the access to vaccine is better and those who have vaccinated a significant proportion of their population, the COVID situation is declining or the number of cases and deaths is declining significantly. In some countries, it's actually nose-diving. So we have the tool. That's why we said we have the public health measures at hand, which have been working in many countries, and now we have the added tool, vaccine, at hand. If we do both, we can end this pandemic quickly.
That is good news right there. All right, now we go to Congo, but rather sad story. Nearly 500,000 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo have been left without clean drinking water after a volcano erupted. The charity Medicine Sans Frontiers, MSF, has warned. It says because the cholera is endemic and poses a great threat, there is an urgent need to provide people in the eastern city of Goma with safe drinking water. A reservoir and pipes were damaged when Mount Nyiragongo erupted on 22nd of May this year, with hundreds of thousands of people still unable to return to their homes. MSF said its teams were providing medical services in the nearby town of Sake, where between 100,000 and 180,000 people were gathering in churches, schools, mosques, and on the streets. All right, many children in Mozambique have had to leave their homeland with their family members as a result of persistent poverty and famine, besides terrorist attacks and operations by anti-government forces over the recent years. Cabo Delgado, a province in the northern part of Mozambique, suffers from not only poverty and famine, but also violent conflicts and terrorist attacks as well. Since 2017, the province has seen growing violent attacks staged by anti-government rebels, as Brian Mwendwa is reporting.
During the past 4 years, the attacks have gradually changed the target from the government organs to civilians. At the end of March this year, attacks on citizens in Palma town of Cabo Delgado were reported to have resulted in the death of dozens of people. The attacks ruined the town and burned buildings, making tens of thousands of people homeless. Large numbers of local residents began to flee Palma region and move southwards of Bemba City, the capital of Cabo Delgado. According to the government statistics released in mid-May, over 47,000 local civilians became homeless because of terrorist attacks. Among the victims, more than 20,000 are children. Rufina and her family lived in Palma region in the past. In the terrorism attacks on March, the family lost their house. Now they're living in Pemba without stable income.
Previously, we used to have land to cultivate, but now we have 13 brothers and sisters and we can only rely on Dad to work outside.
Rufina lives with her 12 sisters and brothers and her father. Meal is a big problem for a large family like this.
Previously, we used to have 3 meals a day. But now, we can only have 2 meals and we have no choice.
What the girl cares about is when or whether they can go back to their hometown.
I liked my old school very much. There, I had a lot of friends. I don't know if you can go back there.
At present, the family is living in Pemba. Like many victims from Palma region, they are struggling to get used to the new life in a strange city, trying to forget the pains and anxiety of the past. Brian Munda, Switch TV.
All right, now let's come back to the country, where medical practitioners have raised concerns over the large turnout from yesterday's Madaraka Day celebrations and the prioritization of the president's speech, where he only focused on other matters instead of how they will tackle the spread of the virus. The practitioners are blaming the government if there will be any spike of the virus, Sazamunga reports.
3,000 guests were expected to attend the Madaraka Day event as a way to allow social distancing. But the situation was different, as many who did not manage to make it to the stadium camped in the streets awaiting the president's entourage in and out of the stadium. The Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, George Gibore, now says the event may have been a super spreader.
it is reasonable to note that indeed that will contribute to more infections, as we have seen it as for the last few days or almost 2 weeks, it has been growing in number.
The medical fraternity says the event should have been marked by focusing on various matters, such as strategies on how to deal with the COVID-19, especially now that the country is almost experiencing the fourth wave, with the Ministry of Health warning that it may be declared in the month of June.
His speech mostly was directed to other things, like what we have seen, his pronunciation on the judiciary, the BBI, and of course, what is the political consideration or other prioritization of what we'll be able to refer as such.
Gibore has expressed his dismay on the president's speech, saying BBI is not the solution, especially when it comes to curing those with the virus or shielding families suffering from the virus.
That our politicians must be able to put first issues that are touching on the common Kenyan, not on the political class, who are already privileged and they enjoy good life. They can even afford actually all meals considerably.
Currently, the country recorded 142 new cases from a sample size of 2,650 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 5.4%. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health Acting Director General Dr. Patrick Amoth has been elected to chair the World Health Organization Executive Board for the next 1 year. Despite the persisting fear of the new Indian variant, Kisumu residents defied all odds when they turned out in large numbers, ready to host the 58th Madaraka Day celebrations. However, medical practitioners have raised concern of a possible spike, begging the question, who is to blame? Sazamunga, Switch TV.
Yeah, Sazamunga is asking us who is to blame, but your answer is as good as mine. Now, more than 300 traders who conduct their businesses at the Mama Ngina waterfront, Mombasa County, continue to lose businesses due to continued closure of the 460 million shillings facility. The recreation facility was closed down about 2 months ago due to COVID-19 pandemic as a way of controlling the spread of the third wave of the deadly virus. The traders, who used to eke a living by selling their merchandise to both local and international tourists, now want the government to reconsider reopening the facility for public use.
Wameweka hapa ni kama wametusahau. Golf club iko hapa ndani. Kuna bar, kuna hoteli pale ndani Florida ambayo ina operate mpaka sasa, utakuta gari zimejaa pale, watu wako ndani. Lakini sisi ambao ni wafanyikazi wa pale tumekaa hapa miaka nyingi. Tunatolewa tu juu, hakuna mtu wa kutuangalia, hata tukirudi tena ni impromptu. Unatolewa leo unapatiwa, hakuna notice. Mnaambiwa mtakikana kama hii last time wakati tulitoka. Tulitoa mara moja saa 6 usiku, waambieni watu wenyu wasiingie, kuna nini? Tukauliza kuna nini? Wakasema kuna vipengele fulani imetuaffect.
Nalilia Uhuru, nisaidie tufungulie watoto wapate kula sisi. Na Dewaru nyumba mimi sisita.
Imagine sahi nimetoka kule nyumbani sijui naenda wapi. Huku kumefungwa. Nikirudi pale watoto wananiuliza baba, vipi? Mtoto analala na kikombe ya chai rangi. Tafadhali naomba Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Nyama Pori, tafadhali tufungulie hii sehemu na sisi tupate riski za kuendeleza maisha yetu.
The government should hear their concerns. Now, boda operators and Kericho residents have taken to the street protesting against the proposed construction of a gas plant in the Central Business District. They have accused the county government of not conducting public participation while the plans for the construction is underway. They have said that the gas plant will affect them health-wise due to the emissions that will be coming from the plant once it's operational. They have further vowed to object the construction until they have fully been brought up to speed with the plans.
Jambo ambalo ningependa kujulisha. Governor, can you go to your people from the physical planning? We go to the NEMA. We go to the environment officers. Can you tell them to come here and tell us who gave them permission to come and build this thing before consulting the society? Ni kweli? Sasa, hebu angalia. Hata kama mgeni anakuja kwako anaingia sitting room, anaanza kula ugali na hata kupika, hakulete unga, hakupiga hodi, amekuja tu. Hii gesi ikitengenezwa, hata maiti ambao wamelala hapa wanalalamika kwamba wenzetu wako hai bado mtaki kuwaua. Ni kweli?
In April this year, Kenya entered an IMF fiscal consolidation program whose conditions will have a significant bearing on the taxpayer. Okoa Uchumi Coalition held a public stakeholder meeting to address the impact of the IMF Kenya program and Finance Bill 2021 on the lives of Kenyans. According to the coalition, they have called on Parliament to take steps to reduce indirect taxes which affect the poor by closing taxation loopholes around exemptions. They also condemned the standoff over ARVs, which has resulted in expiry of donated drugs at the expense of the human life. The group now wants the government to set realistic tax revenue projections and that no new projections are introduced in the 2021-2022 budget. Bank Kenya has received 22 accolades in the 2021 Banking Awards by Think Business, cementing the bank's position as the leading bank in Kenya. For the 10th year in a row, Equity was ranked Best Overall Bank in Kenya and Best Bank in Sustainable CSR for the 5th year running. The bank also garnered first position in 10 other categories, which included Best Tier 1 Bank and Best Bank in Trade and Finance. Additionally, Equity took third place in the Best Retail Bank, Best Bank in Digital Banking, and Most Customer-Centric Bank Award categories, reinforcing the brand's positioning as a people-centered digital bank. The win validates Equity's strategy of delivering digital banking and unrivaled customer experience. It's not time for business, or that's the end of business, but it's time for sports. Now, Harambee Stars goalkeeper Patrick Matasi has been hospitalized after being involved in a road accident at Kapsabet. Matasi was traveling with his family from Kakamega to Nairobi when the accident occurred. Matasi and his family were alert and conscious when area residents arrived at the scene to free them from the badly damaged car. According to reports, the driver lost control of the car before veering off the road.